They're trying a lot of stuff. There's a lot of interesting new stuff. It's again, they're pushing new guys. Ricochet's wrestling Brock Lesnar in Saudi Arabia for the title. I didn't see that one coming. I know that they've been wanting to push Ricochet for a while. It just feels like if this was like the goal and he was supposed to main event Saudi Arabia, shouldn't they have like protected him like way more in the last 3 months?
Dude, it's not only that.
I'm like it's like when I watched him win, like the way the commentary was and the way the interview was, watching the show, it's like, oh my God. Because it's like, I could see Lesnar and Lashley because there's always been that thought of, what happens if Lesnar wrestles Lashley? Except, and Lashley's cold as well. And Seth, I mean, I would have expected, and I think most people probably, when the match was announced, probably expected Seth to win, but then it's heel. And I didn't think that they would do that right now. So, I mean, I didn't think Ricochet was going to win until the commentators and the whole story of the match was how Ricochet wasn't going to win and how he's the underdog and this and that. So then it was like, okay, he's probably going to win. But then I was thinking, like, okay, if that's the case, like his booking the last couple of months makes no sense at all. So, but that's bound to happen.
My guess is that week that we were on the boat and they did that angle where Ricochet was out there talking about Brock or whatever. My guess is that's the week they decided that they were going to do this.
Yes,
I highly doubt there was a single iota of a plan even a week prior.
I don't know. I mean, if you look at how Ricochet was being used prior to that, I would say the same thing. But if you because Ricochet did help eliminate Lesnar in the Rumble. So that, at that point, you can see that there probably was, at that point, that plan.
Sure. And the week prior, they shot the angle for that. One played off the other. So I think that was the week that they figured out that was what they were going to do.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, like, guys like that, if you look at Lesnar's best matches that he's had of late, one was with AJ Styles, one was with Daniel Bryan, and while Ricochet is not exactly the same, there is some similarities, and he had a good one with Finn Balor as well. So I think that this is the style of guy that Lesnar works the best with. But it's in Saudi Arabia on a Thursday afternoon, so it's kind of like, and that crowd doesn't really, I don't know. I mean, has there been a good match in Saudi Arabia so far? I mean, I guess there's been good, but I don't think it's been a great match in Saudi Arabia yet, just because the atmosphere isn't conducive to it.
So the show opens up with Randy Orton coming out, and he's going to have some words about what he did to Edge last week, and he gets tons of heat. By the way, there was a massive snowstorm, and
they still had 9,000.
They had they got tons of people in the building, and those people that made it through the snow to this Raw show, this was one of those crowds that they were just going to have a good time. Like, you were not going to prevent them from having a good time. They were a great crowd. They're booing Randy out of the building. They're chanting, "You suck." He's doing everything as slowly and deliberately as possible. Every time he's about to speak, they drown him out. And finally, he says
he was playing them.
Of course,
he was. It really wasn't like it. He was great. He was great, but that's like old school stuff. I mean, I've seen that done a million times. You just do it that way. It's like the oldest. He's great at it and all, but I didn't think they were really booing him that loudly as much, because I've seen other guys in that same situation get booed a lot louder than this. I mean, not that it was bad or anything. It's just that it was. I thought it was more Orton than the
Of
crowd.
course it was. He was working. He was playing the crowd like a fiddle, and they were playing along. And he says, "I owe everybody an explanation." They go crazy. Edge chants. He says, "You see the thing?" And they start booing him again, and they boo, and he milks it, and finally he just says, "I can't do this," and he leaves. 14 minutes of television time this was here. But it was different.
Yeah, but you know what, though? When it was over, it was like, okay, if I was like at the building, I would think this was great, but watching it on TV, it was just like, ugh.
It was a long segment.
It was a long segment of nothing. I mean, really nothing other than playing the crowd, which is great if you're in the crowd, but on television, I didn't think it was that great. It was just like, what they made the crowd boo. That's about, you know what I mean? It was like they could have done the same thing in 5 minutes, other than that, he wouldn't have been able to stall as much. There was a lot of stalling anyway, so I don't know.
We had Liv Morgan versus Lana, a totally random rematch after a clean finish last week. So last week, at least Liv beat her up and did some decent-looking stuff. This week, it's all for 2 minutes. Lana just putting her in holds. And then Liv makes a quick comeback, and she hits her move and gets the win. I have no idea why we needed this twice.
Well, it was just a setup for the next feud. That's all. And just a way. I think that there's a thing right now, and the funny part is that in the ratings, it's like pretty much. I'd have to go back, but I know it seems like almost every time when I'm going through the ratings, these segments, it's the Mandy Rose, Alexa Bliss, and the Liv Morgan and Lana stuff on both shows, and they always end up like losing lots of viewers. And it always ends up being like this Friday. It wasn't the lowest rated part of the show, but it still lost viewers. And several weeks it's been. So it's kind of like the mentality. Hey, we put two pretty girls in there.
All blondes.
Yeah, let's put two really pretty blondes in there. It's going to do ratings for sure. And then it never does. And after a while, if you like look at the pattern, But I mean, this I won't say that was what this was just a way for Liv Morgan to get a win and to set up her next rivalry with Ruby Riott, which will be, in theory, as far as, with Lana, it's like you can do a storyline thing and everything. And Lana's a really, is very good at certain things, but wrestling isn't one of them. Whereas Ruby Riott is a good worker, and it will allow Liv Morgan, if the goal is to get her over, which is what the goal is, to get her over in at least an in-ring way, because, Liv Morgan could wrestle Lana and beat her 100 weeks in a row and never have one good match out of it. And this way, if the idea is to get her over in a way where people respect her and think she's good looking, we'll see. I mean, and again, they're friends. Friends usually work better together. I mean, there's positives here. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, it's certainly it's not, nothing's a lock on this, but I can see the mentality of why. And, again, it's just give her a quick 1 minute win, and then let's get to the real program to try to get her over like stronger.
So Ruby came out, her former best friend. She just attacks Liv. She beats her up, lays her out, and then Lana gives Liv an X Factor. So Liv was in tears afterwards, maybe thinking this feud with Lana is going to continue.
Well,
Hopefully,
in some form,
it does not.
but it might be Lana, seconding Ruby Riott.
We had
And
Drew
Lana,
McIntyre.
as far as Lana as a second, I mean, that's one of the Lana at ringside. That's one of the things she does a lot better.
Where the hell's Rusev been?
They don't have anything for him right now.
So you're telling me that he did that whole storyline, divorcing his wife and this whole deal, and now they got nothing for the guy?
Yeah.
Wow.
What do you do with him? I mean, what do you got? Lashley's. I mean, they may bring him back for Lashley, but it's kind of that's starting to run its course.
It was like the whole idea, like to sort of get him over.
Yeah, but I don't know for what.
So now you can't figure out what to do with a guy that your goal was to get him over.
Maybe there's an idea, but they don't have it. This wasn't the week for it because Lashley's in this other match, and Lana's in this other direction. So, but yeah, I mean, maybe hopefully there's something. Hopefully there's something for him at some point. I would hope.
We had Drew McIntyre, Mojo Rawley. Drew comes out for a promo. Thanks to fans for fighting through the blizzard. Says, I want Mojo to know as soon as he puts his mic down, 3 seconds later, I'm going to Claymore kick his head off. Talks about Brock attacking him from behind, saying Brock must be apprehensive. He's as big as Brock is. He's as fast as Brock is. And he has a secret weapon that knocked him out of the Royal Rumble, the Claymore kick. vows to kick his head off and become WWE champion. Then he says, "Oh, Mojo, I forgot about you." And the ref rings the bell, he hits the Claymore, he beats the guy.
7 seconds.
Does not care one bit about the 24/7 title.
Should he?
No, of course not.
Yeah.
We had Charlie with Buddy Murphy and AOP.
So by the way, remember what we said like about Mojo? And he's going to get us a few weeks?
He sure did.
Yeah, he sure did. Yeah, but now poor Riddick Moss.
Well, I could have told you that.
I mean, poor Riddick Moss, he comes in and he's just standing there for this 7-second match.
We have Buddy doing this promo. They're on the right side of history. Anyway, Seth walks up and says, "I got this," and they leave. And Charlie says, "What about this triple threat main event tonight?" And he says, "Well, I've beaten Brock twice. I've taken his title. I know Drew has his heart set on Brock at Mania, but he better prepare for me instead." We had Owens and the Viking Raiders versus Buddy Murphy, AOP, this week in elimination match. And Joe is still not cleared. You should have heard Tom Phillips. He's stuttering. He's stumbling all over himself. He's trying so hard to explain why Joe isn't there without saying that he suffered a head injury or any kind of injury. He says...
But we saw it. Why won't they say it when we saw it?
He says that Joe sacrificed himself for the good of his team.
What does that mean?
His team lost.
I know. And
how was any of this for the... It was objectively not for the good of his team what happened.
No. And also, how did he sacrifice himself by doing... Well, I mean, it's a tope, but it's like, it's an offensive move. It's not like he, like, allowed a guy... You know what I mean? Like, there are ways to sacrifice yourself for the good of the team, and that wasn't...
Yeah, I'll tell you how. If it's Owens and Joe against the AOP, and Samoa Joe does some sort of crazy move, and in doing so, he injures himself, but he takes out both of AOP, and Kevin Owens wins. Okay, that's a sacrifice.
Yes.
If you do a tope and you kill yourself and you leave your partner alone against two people and he loses, no, that's not that is a sacrifice, but it failed.
Okay. So what that tells me is that, and see, here's the thing. Okay. I know that, and we deal with this all the time, that they're very subconscious about concussions. And look, we had 6 guys get knocked out in last week alone, which is pretty scary. So they're really subconscious, right? And that's in real life. But storyline isn't real life, and we did see it, and saying like, they're not talking about everybody else's situations, only Joe. So like if they're running down everyone and just go and going like, oh, we had 6 concussions, that's kind of like overkill and all that. But 1 concussion for a guy who isn't there, that's like, I don't know, maybe just because they were going to do the Ray injury that they didn't want to do another one. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, if a guy's really hurt, you probably should just say he's hurt, I mean, it's part of the game.
You know what I love is that they can't talk about head injuries or anything involving the head, yet every angle they do involving Ray and Humberto and Andrade is a dude getting dropped on his head on cement.
Yeah, maybe they don't want to duplicate. They feel it's duplicating or something.
So anyway, it's Owens and the Viking Raiders versus Murphy and AOP. So heat on Eric for a while, and then there's a hot tag, and Ivar's outside, and he tries a running high cross, and he hits the LED boards, and he sells it like he has injured his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
So as the ref is checking on him, Seth curb stomps Eric, tosses him inside. Murphy pins Eric. And then Ivar gets carted off because he's injured. They did a worked version of what happened last week.
With Joe, exactly.
Yes, which unfortunately for Joe, it actually made the storyline better. So now they turned it into an actual storyline, but it's not a head injury, it's a shoulder injury. And so now Kevin Owens was alone against all 3 guys.
Yeah.
So they beat on him forever. He makes a comeback, and he hits a sit-out pop-up power bomb on Buddy Murphy, pins him. Now it's Owens versus AOP. Super kick, stunner, pins Akam. He's out of here. Now it's one-on-one. Seth gives Razor big pep talk, Him and Kevin Owens go back and forth. Crowd's going nuts for this. And Seth distracts Kevin. Razor hits a clothesline. Kevin lands right on his head. Razor hits 2 spine busters, gets the pin. They gave Kevin a huge standing ovation afterwards. And overall, this was great.
I thought it was really good. I thought it was really good. Really good match, good storytelling. Allows it to keep going. Heels win. Yeah, it was really good stuff.
There is the issue that, like, Kevin's just teaming with one failure after another.
Well, Big Show's gone.
I guess he's unflappable.
Yeah, so we've gone through Big Show. Joe's hurt. I thought, like, after the main event that maybe they would throw Lashley in there, but I was told that that is not happening. So, because the AOP attacked Bobby Lashley in the last segment. Yeah, I don't know. No Aleister Black. He seems to be at the Rumble. It seemed like Aleister Black was going to get involved, but it seems now that they've got Aleister Black completely away from
maybe he'll be
guys.
next week, because it seems like Kevin Owens needs a new partner every week.
Yeah.
These partners keep getting injured.
Yeah. They want to protect Aleister Black, though.
So we had the Ricochet promo. God bless this guy. This was bad. He says, "This will be a chance to compete for the WWE title. That's the dream. All I've wanted to do since I was 14 was prove that I could be one of the best. It might seem unrealistic for someone like me to earn a WWE title match because of the obstacles put in front of me. But as slim as it may be,
the obstacles are Vince's stubbornness.
Tonight I will prove determination can outweigh probability." That's his promo. Tonight I will prove determination can outweigh... At least he didn't say he was a superhero. That was
No, but his shirt did.
Well, that's something else.
He's wearing the shirt. He didn't have to say it.
My question is, you've been watching this since you're 14 years old, and you don't understand that every babyface ever has had obstacles put in front of him? You know what I'm saying? This guy's acting like he's the only guy that ever had an obstacle put in front of him. And now it's unlikely he would ever have an opportunity at the WWE title. Like, dude, come on. No viewer watching this. It's nothing but 50-year-olds who've watched this forever. Promos like this are death.
I don't disagree with you. I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking, like, they handed him a bad script.
And he couldn't deliver it. That's the key.
Well, it's a bad script. Hey, look. Who's going to deliver those lines? Those lines are fake lines. Okay, yeah, well, we don't have a whole roster full of Joes.
Well, we need a roster full of Joes. Maybe he should be running this promo class or something.
Yeah. Well,
he's injured right now.
Well,
That's what he should have been doing when his thumb was all messed up. He should have been running promo class.
Okay, well, you know what? Maybe they should just have Joe do everyone's promos like Bruiser Brody did.
Fine.
Bruiser Brody, years ago, when he was booking in Dallas, he had his baby faces were like Kerry Von Erich, Ultimate Warrior, Kevin Von Erich. It was a bunch of guys who couldn't do promos, essentially. So they would all come out, like the guys would come out one after another, and they would come out, and each one would do like a terrible promo. And then Brody would go, well, what Kevin was trying to say was, and then Brody would do like a really good promo for him. Well, what Dingo, which Ultimate Warrior's name was Dingo Warrior, then what Dingo was trying to say was, so maybe we just have Joe stand there with Charlie Caruso the whole show, and then every babyface comes out and does their scripted promo, and then Joe can go, well, what he's trying to say, and that maybe that's the way to go.
Aleister Black killed Eric Young and then did a spooky promo, vowed to take out the Raw locker room, and it will be done by a guy who was told he could be whoever he wanted to be. So I guess Aleister Black had good parents. Is that what I'm getting here?
I didn't really understand. I mean, I sort of did. I sort of thought that there was like a message there, and the message was that like if you work hard, you can be whatever you want to be. I think.
That's true pretty much everywhere in the world except WWE.
Yeah.
We had Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza. So Angel comes out with Zelina, and she's doing this promo. She's just totally getting the what treatment. And she says Angel isn't a hired hitman. He's a former champion, hottest Latino prospect, and your cousin.
So I'm thinking, I got this Angel Garza thing, since he himself pronounced it Angel Garza. It's like somebody there, whether it's Vince or somewhere else, is just like, no, it's Angel Garza. Because obviously Zelina is going to, pronounce it the Latino way, which would be on hell, unless she was specifically told not to. So I'm just wondering where that comes from, because it had to come from somewhere.
So Angel cuts a promo. He also gets the what treatment, says he's the leader of this family. What Humberto did last week, a disgrace to all the people here, their family, and the Latinos. And Humberto grabs the mic, starts ranting in Spanish. Zelina slaps him. Angel jumps him, lays him out with the wing clipper, throws him outside. He's going to give him the DDT on the cement. Ray comes out to make the save. And we get Ray versus Angel Garza. Humberto Carrillo vanishes. We never see him again. I don't know what happened to this guy.
I thought that Angel Garza really has tremendous charisma on the big stage. Are
you kidding me? I'm watching this here, and Humberto Carrillo is a very, very talented guy, but I'm watching Angel Garza, and I'm like, this guy can be an Eddie Guerrero. This guy is so charismatic, and he had so much poise. And he was ready for the main roster the moment he stepped foot on that stage.
And he's got such a great look, and he can go. I mean, he's really good. So yeah, this guy. So now the deal here is, okay, he is, and they made a point of saying this. Okay, so he is an NXT guy who's been on NXT television. So the rules are made to be broken. So the rules are that, you can't bring up an NXT guy, unless it's like something that's been planned way in advance, which this hasn't. So what it is for right now, he is here because Andrade failed a drug test and they needed something. So, that's what he's here for. But he is...
Dude, he should stay.
I know he should stay, and he may. I mean, it's not like there's this rule that he's going to have to go back. But right now, it's like the idea is he's going to be on both shows, and that he's still an NXT guy, but he's a fill-in for, 30 days. Now, when I watched this, my first thought was they need to reevaluate that line of thinking, because this guy, so, Zelina Vega managing those two as a stable, because, Andrade's really good too. That's starting to be a winning combination.
Oh, yeah. So, Petey Williams did a tweet the other day, and it just said something to the effect of, guys, I never meant for it to be a transition spot.
Yeah, the Canadian Destroyer.
And sure enough, Ray hits a Canadian Destroyer, and it is a setup for the 619. It's not even a near fall. The dude didn't even take a bump. Angel Garza takes a Canadian Destroyer, and he's on his feet, and he stumbles into the ropes for the 619. I was dying. This match, by the way, was very good. And he goes for the 619, but Zelina yanks Garza outside. She starts screaming at Ray. Garza super kicks him from behind, hits Ray with the hammerlock DDT on the cement, and is disqualified. They did the big injury angle with Ray.
So Ray's going to have to be out for a couple weeks based on the precedent, right?
That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. I presume he's on a vacation, but...
maybe they keep him out for a few weeks and he makes his big return, and as he makes his big return, someone else makes their big return. Lays him out.
Okay.
Yeah. Charlotte's out for a big announcement, and she says, everybody wants to know who I'm going to face. I've held the Raw title multiple times, and I've beaten Becky. I've held the SmackDown title multiple times. I've beaten Bayley. Fans start chanting for Rhea. They already know. She says, well, I do have love for NXT. I'm a 10-time champion. I won all the gold. Then Rhea's music hit. She just happens to be at Raw in Salt Lake City in the middle of a snowstorm. She comes out, says, well, you did win the Women's Royal Rumble. You can challenge for any title you want. Yes, you have beaten Becky and Bayley. But no, you have not beaten me. In fact, I have beaten you. And she holds up the belt, invites Charlotte to challenge her, and Charlotte leaves and will challenge her on NXT.
Yep. So that's the segment.
I liked it.
It was fine. It was good. I mean, Rhea Ripley was good. The crowd reacted pretty well for her. It was good. Yeah.
She's a superstar. It's another one. What the hell is she doing in NXT?
Rhea Ripley? Rhea Ripley's got a lot going for her. Yeah. Well, you can't pull everyone out of NXT, because if you do, then NXT becomes the minor league brand again, and that's exactly what they're fighting against.
Well, the problem is we have 3 minor league brands right now. I'd like one major league brand.
Then watch New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Sarah's with Bobby Lashley, and she wants to know the battle plan. If he's distracted because Lana lost, he says, no, that's her match. We'll have plenty of reason to celebrate tonight. I'm going to give a spoiler of my own. I'm going to beat Brock Lesnar, go on to WrestleMania, and I will beat the hell out of Drew McIntyre.
Okay, so does it feel like they married those two, and now it's like, now what do we do?
Well, it does seem that way because Rusev has vanished.
Well, they could always do like marital discord. They've been trying to do that, like, constantly with everybody else. So maybe now they can do it with them.
Would mention, by the way, that after this was over, the announcers made it abundantly clear that Lesnar versus Lashley is, in fact, a dream match. So that must be some plan for somewhere down the road. Like, they all said it.
Yeah, so maybe, Elimination Chamber?
I don't know, maybe that or SummerSlam or something, I don't know.
Could be SummerSlam, sure.
So we had Asuka versus Natty, which was a bizarre match. They had a very hard-hitting, very non-WWE style match.
Yeah, I think Natty got a black eye.
Natty did some spot. They did a knee bar spot early. And Natty gets up and says, and I quote, "Come on, bitch, you want to shoot on me?"
Yeah, but that's
They did not shoot.
That's Heyman stuff.
But
that's not. That's just like let's give it an air of legitimacy. That Natty's not going to do that when she's mad.
No, of course not. But the point is, like they did a more. It wasn't a shoot style match because there's like suplexes and shit in there, but there was fighting inside the guard. Asuka's trying to Kimura. Asuka's trying a guillotine. The fans in Salt Lake City had no idea what was going on, but I liked it.
It was late in the show, and
they got in the match at the end when they got back into wrestling. Natty suplexed her way free.
The last 3 minutes were over, and it was actually right when it started to really peak. Then they went right to the finish. Unfortunately,
put on the sharpshooter. Asuka got the ropes. Fans are into it, and then Kairi distracts. Well, Kairi. I don't know if she was supposed to pull the foot, but she didn't.
I thought she was supposed to pull the foot because of the way Natty paused.
Yeah, Natty paused like a phantom had pulled her foot. She turns around, she's distracted. Asuka puts her in the Asuka lock, gets submission. I liked it. And then
I thought it was good. It was good.
Asuka cuts his crazy promo, calling out Becky. Becky comes out wearing sunglasses, which is a wise move if your opponent blows mist, but then she just took the sunglasses off, so I don't know what that was all about. She says, after ducking me for a whole year, you want to fight me again? I don't remember that part.
Was she ducking her for a year?
No, are you kidding me? She said beating Asuka at the pay-per-view almost gave her superpowers.
And also, didn't they do like 1 million tag team matches?
They did many, many matches.
Yeah.
Then she thinks, why would I put my precious title on the line so close to Mania? Well, the only thing more fun than beating her ass once would be doing it again. You're on. And Kairi goes after Becky. Becky lays her out, says, see? I have superpowers, eyes in the back of my head. And off she goes.
So they're wrestling on next Monday's show.
Yep, next week.
Well, at least it's something. And if they put it on early in the show, and maybe even if they put it on late in the show, but if they put it on early in the show, they'll probably get a really good reaction. I mean, because they're gonna have, they'll have a good match, no doubt about it.
Seth comes out, cuts a promo, promises to go to Mania. Fans boo. Says, I said that last year and you cheered. Complains about the fans, blah, 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 the usual. So it's Seth versus Lashley versus Ricochet. And the match goes a few minutes. Ricochet goes up top. Buddy Murphy runs down, shoves him off. AOP and Murphy hit the ring. They all destroy Ricochet and Lashley. Kevin Owens' music hits. He beats up Murphy. War Raider Eric comes down. He takes on all the heels. They hit everyone with chair shots.
So the idea is that they're trying to sell that Ivar's injury is legit.
Yes.
Because he didn't come out.
So they go to commercial.
I think he would.
As they're pummeling these guys, they come back. It's just the three-way again. So I guess we needed something to lead to commercial. So Jerry Lawler proceeds to bury Ricochet 10 feet under. He says, man, Brock has to be concerned about Seth because he's beaten him twice. And look at Lashley. Look at how big he is. But man, he can't be concerned about Ricochet. Look at this guy. He looks like Brock Lesnar's skeleton.
That's when I knew that Ricochet was going to win was because Lawler was going so hard on him.
I just, dude, what's the point?
There is no point. It's like the whole idea. See, because you're small Even though we've seen these guys it's that Vince McMahon story. Because you're small, we have to tell everyone that you have no chance. And then every now and then, we fool you and actually let you win. Even though most of the time we just beat you.
The problem is, after he won, then it's like, well, who gives a shit about this match?
That's what I was thinking.
The guy himself said, it's very unlikely that I have any chance. That's what Ricochet said. Then we got the announcers burying the guy. Everybody calls the guy the underdog. He happens to win. But it's like, so that's supposed to make me want to get the network and watch this show in Saudi Arabia on a Thursday afternoon. That's not doing nothing for me.
God, a show on a Thursday afternoon. That's no fun whatsoever.
By the way, they're doing
those Saudi shows are never good either.
No. They did the stacked up superplex. They're just doing this match. They do the stacked up superplex. And all of a sudden, Seth vanished off the face of the earth. Ricochet and Lashley start whispering to each other for about 5 seconds. And then Ricochet just goes up top, hits a 630 and wins. So I think they must have been told, you got to go home right now. And so they had to figure out what to do. Because Brock wind sprints down the ramp, gets in the ring, F5, show goes off the air.
Yeah.
They were very rushed there at the end.
Yeah, I think that's what was going on. Yeah, I think they were running on time.
Largely a very fun show. I liked it.
Yeah, better than most Raws, yeah.
So that was Raw, everybody, and as noted, we've got Charlotte Rhea coming up here on Wednesday, Goldberg on Friday, so lots of stuff. All right, we got to talk about this Raw show. What did you think?
I thought it was better than a lot. I liked it. I thought that the angle with Shayna Baszler, I think, and Becky Lynch was like the certainly the highlight of the show. And I thought it was, I knew that they needed something big, and I think that they delivered something big. It was, I don't want to ever hear Vince McMahon talk about blood and guts, but, Vince can be the biggest hypocrite in the world, and that angle certainly showed him to be that, going like, those guys, they're going to ruin all the great work we did in wrestling because we got away from this blood and guts. And then we have an angle where Shayna Baszler turns into Freddie Blassie and bites Becky Lynch in the back of the head or the back of the neck, and there's blood everywhere, even though it's probably stage blood and everything, but still, there's blood everywhere.
It's a pretty good call.
Yeah. But still, it's like, it's a great angle. Don't get me wrong. It's just, but you can't be doing angles like this and then play Puritan, like, hey, look, I remember talking to Vince McMahon in the late 90s, and he's with a straight face complaining to me about people stealing his talent, and it's just like, Vince, that's how you built your freaking company, and he rationalized it. His thing was, well, the difference is that I had to do it with wrestling money. They have more money. It's like, you had the biggest company as far as grossing because of those New York and Philadelphia and Boston and Cap Center and all these, the biggest grossing arenas in the country. You can afford to outpay these guys in Kansas City and everywhere else, and all that. It's the exact same thing, but he doesn't see it that way. And I'm sure that he doesn't see this that way either, that the other guys are doing blood and guts, and it's terrible for business and it's terrible for sponsors, but we need to get back, we need a big WrestleMania angle. And it was. And it made Shayna Baszler and Becky Lynch did the Steve Austin stuff, driving her own ambulance and everything, came back, cut a promo. They basically told you she was coming back to make sure you stuck with it. She was like the big star in the show, I thought. And, they trying to get Ricochet over. They're trying to get Aleister Black over. They did a big 8-man tag at the end. So, yeah, I thought it was a good show.
So we had Seth Murphy, and who no longer has a first name, by the way. He's only Murphy.
However, Tom Phillips was calling him Buddy Murphy.
Oh, this is going to be
many times because he just couldn't forget that first name. And he one time he caught himself. And then the other.
Well, you know how ridiculous it is that a guy lost his first name?
Yeah. It's completely preposterous.
So Seth, Murphy, and AOP, they're in the ring, and Seth is cutting this promo, burying the fans. And first, Kevin Owens comes out, and he's yelling at Seth. And then Eric and Ivar come out, and they head down to the ring for a brawl. So it's 3-on-4 at this point. But then, out of nowhere appears Samoa Joe, who has been cleared. And he chokes out Seth Rollins. AOP and the Warriors hit the ring. They get into a big brawl. Murphy eats the stunner. Heels bail, sets up the 8-man tag for the main event. So Samoa Joe is back. That's good news.
Yeah, he started back in on the weekend house show Saturday night in Oakland.
So we had Becky versus Asuka rematch, and they had a very good TV match. I think it went through 2 commercial breaks.
Yeah, they went 19. I thought this match was great. This is like, we say this a lot, but a lot of times she doesn't work at that level. But when Asuka's really got her head on straight, she's probably, second or third, maybe best worker in the whole company. You know, she's a great, like in this match, like she was great, and Becky stayed with her. You know, it wasn't like it was a one-person show, but I just felt this was a very entertaining long match, even with the commercial breaks, and they're annoying when you have a match of this caliber, but it's, you know, it's when it's on television, I mean, that's just the way it goes. But I just really like this match a lot.
So by the time they get to the finish, they're trading these cradles, and you can just see everybody in the crowd. They're on their feet. They're counting for every cradle. They're thinking that any of them could be the finish. And finally, Becky grabs her, hits the rock bottom, actually, gets the pin.
Uranage.
And a very good final few seconds. Very, very good TV match. So afterwards, yes, Shayna Baszler hits the ring. She lays out Becky from behind. The fans are chanting NXT. She puts her in the choke and then shoves her down, pulls out her mouthpiece, and begins to eat Becky Lynch. She bites her in the back of the neck, and she's gnawing on her. And the referees come down, and they drag her off, and she's got blood in her face, and Becky's got blood in the back of her neck. They're selling it like she literally bit a giant hole in the back of her neck, which, quite frankly, the idea that Becky Lynch was back at the end of the show is absolutely ridiculous. A human biting chunks out of your flesh. I mean, this is a pretty serious injury. But they...
Hey, Keith Lee. Look at Moxley. Moxley got his arm broken, and, you know, and it was punching with that hand in the same match.
Well, clearly it wasn't really broken. These announcers, they're not doctors. So anyway, later...
He got his arm Pillmanized. I mean, come on. You put a chair in the guy's arm and stomp on the chair, and then the guy comes back in the same match. Or Keith Lee, they freaking, like, kill his ankle, and he's running back. He's running out
These
outside.
Things are all ridiculous. But a human bite?
Well...
Bad times.
So this has to be Heyman, because one of the guys who Heyman idolized was Freddie Blassie, and this was 1970s Freddie Blassie with the biting and the blood and everything like that. So yeah, Shayna Baszler channeling Freddie the Vampire Blassie.
So later they have these EMTs telling her she has to go to the hospital. She doesn't want to go to the hospital. She steals the ambulance and drives off. Highly illegal, I might add.
Yeah, well, I think she went to the hospital because she came back.
Well, she definitely came back all right.
But she was all taped up.
Street Profits versus Mojo and Riddick Moss. Match goes like a minute maybe. Profits destroy
45 seconds.
Pin Riddick Moss. So this guy just debuted. He does a job. Mojo goes to scream at him. Moss cradles him, pins him, wins the 24/7 title. He runs off into the crowd. I mean, maybe they can rehab this belt, but I watched this and I thought, Mojo and Riddick should just be drafted to the XFL. Because they're done here on this main roster. Hopeless. Am I the only one?
I don't know. I mean, you know, Mojo's getting his 5 weeks of fame, and Riddick Moss is such a great athlete, but I don't know. It's gonna be tough for him. I can see it being real tough for him.
So MVP comes out for the VIP lounge. He's a heel. He alerts us that he's better than us. And I realize...
Somebody else says that.
I realize that was his catchphrase like a decade ago, but in 2020, just comes off as stealing MJF's catchphrase.
Even though MJF is actually stealing his catchphrase.
Calls out Drew McIntyre, And Drew says, I can't help myself. I got to point at this WrestleMania sign. And long story short, MVP tries to recruit him. He wants to be his manager, but he can't say the word manager.
No,
and
so what did he say, agent or advocate? He said advocate came out. I know that.
So Drew says, I don't need someone talking or thinking for me. I don't need a business partner kissing my ass. MVP says, I'm not an ass kisser. I'm an ass kicker. Even though he just told us 5 seconds earlier he'd retired.
Yeah.
So Drew goes to leave. MVP grabs him, yells at him. Drew gives him the headbutt, hits the Claymore kick, knocks MVP over the couch. And the fans were into this. So the Drew McIntyre thing is working just fine at the moment.
MVP was very good in this segment. Well, he's always been a great talker. This
is a fine role for him.
Yeah.
Angel Garza and Zelina come out, and they replay the destruction of Rey Mysterio. Angel says, I'm a man's man. I'm also a ladies' man, and he looks at Zelina. So we'll see if that leads to anything.
But didn't he just get engaged right before our eyes?
That's on a different show, Dave. That doesn't count.
Okay. You know that, by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, but he was wrestling at all the NXT shows this weekend, Angel Garza, and he was a complete babyface every night.
Well, maybe they'll figure it out that, he should be a babyface on NXT television, too, because he sure wasn't this past Wednesday.
Yeah. Well,
we have Humberto's music hits. He comes down. He attacks Garza. Cedric Alexander's in the corner. He's supposed to be doing a match. He's just watching. So the refs come down. They get rid of Humberto. The fans chant, let them fight, which is a good sign. That means they want to see it. And then Garza beat Cedric in like 2 minutes. Wing Clipper, glorified squash match. Mm-hmm. Not looking good.
Well,
for Cedric.
the thing is that Garza came in weakened, which is never the right role for a heel, and then he still beats him like nothing. But they got no plans for Cedric. He's a talented guy, but his number's just not being called.
Charlie's with Rhea Ripley, so I guess it's the open door policy again. And Rhea says, I'm not going to wait for an answer from Charlotte. I don't wait for things. I go get things done. Charlie says, aren't you getting ahead of yourself? You're supposed to face Bianca on Sunday. And before she can answer, Sarah Logan walks up. And she says, Rhea, you can't just walk in here and do whatever you want. Who the hell are you? And Rhea looks at her and says, who the hell are you? And leaves. Didn't Rhea get really mad about disrespecting talent on the NXT show, and now she comes into Charlotte's house and starts disrespecting the talent?
Yes,
okay.
You were correct.
Just making sure that happened.
Yes, absolutely happened. Exactly like you said. You expect...
No, I don't. Are you kidding me? Sarah's with Lashley and Lana, and she starts out by saying, Lashley, you promised to beat both Ricochet and Seth Rollins.
Which we need to mention, this is a different Sarah. Not Sarah Logan, this is Sarah Schreiber.
This is Sarah Schreiber. She says, you promised to beat both Ricochet and Seth Rollins, and you didn't. So Lana yells at her, rightfully, quit disrespecting Bobby Lashley. And then she says, well, I just wanted to get his thoughts on his match with Ricochet tonight. It's like, well, why didn't you just ask him that then? So Lana answers the question for a while, and Bobby finally grabs the mic and says, I will reintroduce Ricochet to reality. He won't even make it to Super Showdown because he really wants that match with Lesnar in Saudi Arabia. I would too, based on what Lesnar's getting. Sarah comes out, challenges Rhea. We get Sarah Logan and Rhea Ripley. Squash match. Charlotte watches from the ramp, claps afterwards. Rhea says, well, what's your answer? So, the storyline, by the way, if you guys haven't figured it out, is she's challenging Charlotte to challenge her. Charlotte does not answer. She says, I have a question. After your match at Sunday, will you even be the champion? And then she leaves. So I guess we have to wait until after TakeOver to get the answer.
I guess so. We already know the answer.
I got a pretty good idea, but...
Yeah. They're trying to stall it out, I guess.
I figured they weren't even going to start this until after TakeOver, but because word got out that they were going to do this match, they felt that they just had to start it or something.
No. The whole idea is to build up NXT ratings with Charlotte Flair. That's the whole idea.
Well, you can do that after TakeOver.
Well, they didn't feel like waiting. They got blindsided by the January ratings and weren't, they were not expecting that. They thought that the corner had been turned.
Ricochet promo with Charlie. She wants to know if he's concerned he won't make it to Super Showdown. What a question. He says, no, I'm not worried. Been intimidated before. I have something that will make me last longer than anyone ever.
It's not that hot.
What's he talking about?
Maybe he's Spider-Man. He's a superhero.
I don't know if he's Spider-Man. Says his match with Brock is the biggest opportunity of his career. Nothing will stop him from walking, limping, or crawling into Super Showdown. So we have Ricochet versus Lashley, and I'll give him credit. Lashley is getting a big push, but Ricochet's the guy that's getting the shot at Saudi Arabia. And so, in fact, Ricochet beat him clean in the middle with a 630. There was no interference. There was nothing that Lana did to backfire. Ricochet made a comeback. He hit the move, and he won. I was very surprised, but that's what you should be doing if that's your guy.
Ricochet did a lot more than usual. I mean, he was pulling out. This was almost like watching, not quite, but it was almost like watching like Ricochet previously. Lashley's not a good opponent for him at all, but Ricochet was so good. I mean, almost everything Ricochet did was good in this match. Lashley's selling is very awkward, but I thought it was a very entertaining match anyway.
We have Orton come out, and Matt Hardy interrupts. And Matt admits that I've had a history with Edge. It is no secret. The fans chanted for Lita, which I'm not... Is that supposed to be respectful to Matt? Because it seemed pretty disrespectful to me. He says...
Maybe they think Matt came in their house and wasn't respectful because he's never around. I don't know. I mean, I think it was just the fans chant. Matt asked for it. You know what I mean? It's like, you all know. I mean, when he said, like, you all know, I was thinking, like, okay, it was a really big deal at the time, but
it was like 15 years ago.
It's like, was it really 15 years ago?
I think it was right around like 2004, 2005.
Man, I remember, it probably was. I just remember once when this was going on, and Dwayne Johnson, there's actually a Dwayne Johnson story, and he was promoting some movie somewhere, and he wasn't paying attention to wrestling, and someone who was promoting the movie asked him what he thought of like what's happened between Matt Hardy and Edge. This was before they actually turned it into a feud, when it was just the reality thing and it had come out, and because he emailed me, he goes, what the hell's going on with Matt Hardy and Edge? These people are asking me questions about it. So that's when you know it's big, is when you're promoting a movie and this non-wrestling angle that turns into a wrestling angle becomes like, whatever. But yeah, it's like when he did that and goes, you all know. And I'm thinking like, it was a really big deal, but it was so long ago. And it's like,
well, that tells you about the audience. They all chanted Lita, so they all have been watching for 15 years.
It wasn't like everyone in the audience was chanting, but it was a lot of people were chanting. I mean, that's the scary thing when he said that. And I'm not even saying he was wrong to say it, but it's basically saying, I mean, it's funny because people who I know that like work with WWE and work for WWE and stuff, and, it's that private little whisper thing. It's like, that like we haven't made any new fans since the Attitude Era, and all we've got is the remnants of that audience and a couple of, so there's some kids obviously that have become fans, but I mean the fan base is just the same fan base as 20 years ago, but instead of being 15, they're 35, and that's the young ones, so it's like, I mean it's the 23-year-olds that are now 47 or something. Jesus Christ. But, I thought Matt Hardy did a great promo, though. I thought that was, I was kind of sad because, like, God, this guy's doing such a great promo, and he's dressed like it's 20 years ago. It's like they've got Matt Hardy, and they have him, like, wearing, like, Hardy Boys clothes from 1999, and he's talking about this match in 1999, and I'm sitting there going, like, that's 21 freaking years ago. But whatever, it's still, it's still a great promo, and he's still never going to get a push. So,
well, he's not going to get a push because they wrote him off here, it looked like to me.
I was thinking that maybe this was a write-off. I have not heard that officially, but but it felt like that could be it. Yeah.
So he does his promo, and he says when Edge was forced to retire, all that hate and disdain I had for him, it was gone. Because in many ways, we're so similar. And he says Edge used to ask him after he retired, what if? And 9 years later, he made the most miraculous return ever, he says. I don't know about that. And you took it away. What the hell is wrong with you, Randy? And Randy goes for the RKO, but Matt catches him, starts pounding on him in the corner. Randy just shoves him and hits the RKO anyway, lays him out, and then does the one-man concerto, and that is the end of Matt Hardy.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. I thought we're never going to see Matt Hardy again until... And the idea is that if he's leaving, that we're going to bury him and we're going to make him look as bad as we could, but that promo worked against their cause because that was a really good promo.
Sarah's with Ruby Riott. Why the animosity to Liv Morgan? Ruby says she was my best friend, but she will always be a follower. I always had to babysit. I came back to put her in her place, show her where she'll always be.
You know, that made absolutely no sense.
Of course not.
I mean, it was like I was like looking for an explanation, and it's like this explanation is just not doing it for me. It's like I was her best friend, so whatever. Okay.
Aleister Black destroyed Tozawa and then basically did a promo saying anytime someone gets in the ring with him, it's like getting in the ring with an animal in a cage. Maybe he's the guy in Rowan's cage. Have we confirmed that's not the case?
Is Rowan still around?
Well, I haven't seen him in a while, but last time I saw him, he still had that cage.
Yeah, that's like one of those things that like
or maybe
disappeared.
Shayna's in there because that thing bit people.
Maybe it was Shayna.
I hadn't thought of that.
No, because Shayna's much bigger than could fit in that cage.
So is Aleister Black.
Yeah,
maybe there's some weird physics at work here. I don't know.
Maybe no. You remember those contortionists that they used to have? They probably still have them around somewhere. But anyway, I wonder if like one of those people could be a contortionist or something.
Becky returned in the ambulance. They let her drive it back.
Aleister Black does sit like maybe he could be a contortionist. Huh?
No, he sits cross-legged. That's not contortion.
Okay. Sorry.
Anyway, Becky returned in the ambulance. She stole it, and then they let her drive it back.
Well, she's giving it back.
So she gets back.
So what kind of like, as crimes go, what level of crime is like stealing an ambulance and bringing it back?
Well, my guess would be Grand Theft Auto.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not sure you can get away with it just by bringing it back.
Okay, so Grand Theft Auto. Does that mean that she can't play in the XFL?
I think. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know in the original XFL they didn't want criminals, but I don't know about the new XFL.
No. The original XFL, I think they did want criminals.
I see. This one's the one.
This one's the one that they don't want criminals in. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, she's out then.
She can't play. Yeah.
So she demands Shayna, vows to break her down week by week, little by little. You better find me before I find you, she says, and that's it. And then main event, AOP, Seth and Murphy versus Owens, Joe, and Viking Raiders. End of the match was really good. The usual. It's usual at WWE. It's like it goes to a commercial. When it comes back, some dude's just selling. You don't know why. You don't know what happened. I don't know why I should care. And then the crowd's just there. But then they start the big hot tag for the comeback, and then they care.
Okay, you know what they should do? Since I've said this for AEW, and then they actually are doing it. So this is for WWE, and they won't do it because they're not going to listen. They should like show on the screen the big move that set up the heat and say, this is what happened during the break.
I never thought of that. Or you know what? Do it before the break.
You could do that too. Okay. Something like that.
Something. Show me what happened. Otherwise, why should I care? So they do the big moves at the end. This is when everyone else cares, because that's what they've conditioned you to care about, the big moves at the end.
Everybody does their super kicks.
Everybody does their moves. Kevin hits a flip dive on everybody outside.
That was actually pretty cool. He jumped off the post. Yeah.
So the finish was actually great. Joe puts...
the Viking Raiders and Joe did that triple tope. That was pretty, that's pretty like cool looking because they're such big guys doing it all together.
So Joe puts Murphy in the choke. Murphy actually tapped out, but the ref was distracted. Yes. Seth then stomps Joe. Murphy covers Joe and gets the pin. A very good finish. And, I mean, the only thing I got to add to this is we need some sort of resolution booked, because right now it's the same guys having matches and trading wins every week. I need to know where this is going as a fan.
Yeah, well, I don't know what the Super Showdown is. I don't think that anything's coming out of this.
We got this match for a trophy.
Well, so who's in this trophy match?
All right, so there's a two-week trophy gauntlet match, and listed on the poster right now, and cards subject to change. I'm not making this lineup up. We've got Bobby Lashley, the returning AJ Styles, the returning Andrade.
Yeah, this is like the day after suspension ends.
Rusev, Truth, and Rowan.
That is a weird match.
You're telling me.
That is a weird match.
Gauntlet match for the Tuwaiq Mountain Trophy. I wonder if Rowan could get his animal into Saudi Arabia.
Through customs?
It's going to be tough. You'll have to show him what it is.
Yeah, that may not work too well. They'll probably pretend there's something in there anyway.
Alrighty, let's go through this Raw show before I fall asleep.
Okay. It opened with Randy Orton out, and he said that Matt Hardy has not gotten cleared, and Matt Hardy came out with a neck brace on.
They advertised this match for a week. They just found out on Monday the guy wasn't cleared in storyline.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, well, not a whole week, but they advertised it for several days, yes. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It's like, wait a minute. If he's not cleared, what are you doing advertising the match? But you also have to remember that they believe that they have carte blanche to advertise anything. I mean, like some companies, like Impact. Impact's mentality used to be, we can't false advertise at a house show, and we can't false advertise on a pay-per-view because people are paying for it. But because we're doing the TV tapings and they're free, we can false advertise that because you're not actually paying money for it. So WWE's mentality is that we can just do whatever we want, and as long as we present a show, it doesn't matter, that we don't deliver what we advertise. So, with that mentality, yes, you can do that. But, and I mean, there are people who actually paid for the show, but anyway, yes, he's out there with a neck brace on, and he said he wants to fight. Now, this guy's got a neck brace on, and he's not cleared, but he came, and he wants to fight. And that sounded like really stupid. Then Orton told him he should have said goodbye last week, which is probably really good advice, when he could leave on his own 2 feet. And Orton said that he respected Hardy for everything he's done. And as far as Edge, I not only respect him, but I love him like a brother. He said he was sorry about what he did to Matt Hardy, and then he left. And then Matt Hardy swung a chair at him and missed, and Orton snapped his neck on the ropes and gave him an RKO.
Well, Randy goes to leave like he's just going to just get out of here. But he gets to the top of the ramp, he starts to take his shirt off. And Matt figured, trouble's coming. So he goes to get a chair. And so when Randy comes back, he tried to save himself with the chair, and it went awry, and he got his neck snapped and killed.
Yeah. And he gave him an RKO. So the fans, after all this hideous attack, were chanting, "One more time."
Well, it was funny you say that, because there were many chants of "one more time." But when he finally, he goes for the concerto, and he raises the chair above his head, and then he stops. And there were some boos, because there were those fans who wanted to kill the guy. But he leaves, and then, of course, he comes back, and he puts Matt's head on the steel steps, and he kills him with the concerto. And then he goes to leave, but then he comes back, and he hits him a second time with the concerto. And they showed a kid on the big screen, which was funny because they showed this kid, he puts his head in his hands like he's going to cry, and all the crowd goes, "Oh," like they're so sad for this poor kid. But there was another kid sitting directly in front of me, and this kid is crying. And his dad grabs him, and he's got to console his son, and this kid's just weeping, all because Randy Orton killed Matt Hardy 2 times. I thought Randy Orton was fantastic in this, and I thought that Matt Hardy was great, but where in the hell is everybody? Like, not only are there 0 baby faces coming out to help Matt Hardy as he's being killed by Randy Orton, but when they're in the ring, and Randy Orton was setting up the concerto before they went outside, they sent like 4 referees down to stand outside the ring and say, Randy, don't do that. Nobody got in the ring to stop the guy. They literally had nobody come out until after he'd given him 2 concertos on the steps. And as much as I love Randy's performance and Matt Hardy's performance and the heat it got and the kids crying, this was too much for me as a fan. It's like, where the hell is everybody? It was ridiculous.
That's what they do. And you know, everyone does it. Everyone does it in wrestling. It's like when you have to beat up a babyface, sometimes you just don't run any baby faces in, because if you do, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah, but even like when Brock is killing people, like sometimes they at least send the refs into the ring and Brock kills them, or he swings a chair and they all go running and then he kills the guy. It was like the refs just ran out there and stood at ringside and they're saying, Randy, don't do that, please. It's like, why'd you even... By sending them out, it called attention to the fact that nobody was helping the guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even before this, he hit him with like 9 chair shots. No, let's see. 10... He hit him with 10 chair shots, took off his neck brace, then put him on the ring steps for the first concerto, and after the second one, he said there was a light chant of... for one more time. Not that one wasn't as heavy as the first one, and then Randy said that he was sorry, and that was the end of the spot. So unless they change their mind again, that is in fact it for Matt Hardy in WWE. So there you go.
For real this time?
For real. As of an hour ago, yes.
I'd say by Thursday they'll have some sort of crazy match signed.
I don't expect a match. No, I think that's pretty much it. His deal's up March 1st. There's, unless they do it on, let's see, they could
do it on a Raw, they could do it on a Saudi Arabia show.
Ain't going to be on Saudi Arabia. He's not going to Saudi Arabia. They could do it on next week's Raw, but after this, you're going to bring him back and say he's healthy to wrestle. That makes no sense. That makes even less sense.
After last week, I thought it was ridiculous to bring him back too, but they did. So, if this does a huge opening quarter, I don't put anything past these people.
I don't put it past them to. I don't know how you bring him back after this. You always could, and it may very well do a good opening quarter. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But they don't really have much time left for this. I don't know. I was told this is it for sure. So, but then again, that was the plan last week too. And then on Thursday, Vince changed his mind. So, we'll see what happens. The ratings were a day late. That may delay everything. So, whatever. Aleister Black beat Eric Rowan with, he did Black Mass and did not hit it that well. So then he did a second one.
Dude, how was this match on TV?
Sloppy.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't too bad, but it was, a lot of the striking was not the best. There were some cool moves though.
I saw this match when they played Aleister Black's music and then Eric Rowan's already in the ring. I thought, oh man, they're gonna squash Eric Rowan. We're never gonna find out what's in the cage. It's just like
he still came out with the cage.
He did, but when they got in the ring,
he got a lot of offense.
When they got in the ring and he starts beating the hell out of Aleister Black for 5 minutes, he's just beating him all over the place. And of course, I saw the whole match without the commercial breaks. I thought this was a very good match. I can't remember the last Eric Rowan match I saw that was this good. And the fans were into it. And
I would say that when they were a tag team with Harper a long time ago, they had better matches.
Sure, it's tag matches. I'm talking as a singles wrestler.
Yeah, but when was with Roman Reigns? He didn't have many good singles.
Well, this was better than the Roman Reigns matches. There was one weird spot where I don't even know what they were trying to do.
They were also potatoing each other towards the end because it started out where the strikes were real sloppy, and then I don't know, like one must hit the other, and then they started hitting each other. Like it's not like they were shooting.
Sure, but
it was just rough.
And no one got hurt. It turned into a good the stuff at the end I thought was pretty good. The multiple, but there was a spot where Alistair was outside with Rowan, and I don't know what they were trying, but Rowan like lifted him up and dropped him legs first on the barricade or something. It was really weird.
The back of his knees. I think that's what he was trying to do. I mean, it didn't look like it was it was weird, but it didn't look like it was a botch or anything.
I don't know what the hell happened there, but it looked like something went wrong.
He dropped the back of his knees on the barricade. Yeah.
Everybody lived, and the fans popped big for the finish, and I thought it was good. I liked this match.
Yeah. It was all right. Charlotte Flair came out. There was an NXT chant, not loud, but it was there. She started pride comes before the fall, and she's going to humble Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, and everyone is the next big thing in wrestling until they're not. So that's what Charlotte Flair said about Rhea Ripley. So there you go. Then in a completely forgettable segment, it was a three-way.
Oh, you're telling me?
24/7 title.
Dude, in the building, they didn't even announce anything. They didn't announce anyone's name. They didn't announce that it was a three-way. They literally, they just played their music. They all came out, and then they started doing stuff. And for a few minutes, I was like, is this a three-way? Is this 2-on-1? What am I watching here? Like, there was no explanation to the people in the crowd.
Well, it was a title match with these three guys. It went a minute 51 seconds. R-Truth was out there doing John Cena stuff to tease that John Cena's coming back. So he was doing like 5-knuckle shuffle and You Can't See Me and all that.
Tried the AA.
Yeah. And then Mojo Rawley had him beat, and Riddick Moss gave him an Oklahoma side roll, gave Rawley an Oklahoma side roll and pinned him. So evidently the Riddick Moss Mojo Rawley thing is already over after like 2 weeks or whatever.
They're not even doing a singles match?
Maybe no. I mean that they're tag team or whatever.
Oh well, yeah. I figured when he beat him and won the title at the end of their match last week, I thought for sure that was the end.
So at the end, Oklahoma side roll is like a funny story because that's the name of the move, right? So many years ago, I remember the story. It's a great Vince McMahon story. JR is calling a match, and somebody does an Oklahoma side roll, and JR calls an Oklahoma side roll, and Vince just gets mad. And it's just like, why are you calling this an Oklahoma side roll? Why isn't it a Minnesota side roll or a Texas side roll? Why does it always have to be Oklahoma? Because Vince doesn't know that that's actually like the name of the move. But anyway, so.
Do you know that in like 2002 when they did the new Portland Wrestling, I had a match with Moondog Ed Moretti. Okay? Hey, you know Moondog.
Yeah,
he's a big dude, and I am a small dude.
Yeah, he's like 300 pounds.
So for whatever reason, we're putting this match together, and he says, how about I beat you with an Oklahoma roll? I was like, what? He goes, an Oklahoma roll. I said, okay. And then he was like...
That's actually kind of funny now that I think about it.
Then he goes, I forget how to do it.
No, that's great. That's like, comforting.
Okay, well let's try it. And we were, back then you didn't get in the ring before the show. That was heavily frowned upon.
That was forbidden.
Yes.
Forbidden.
So like I'm on my knees in the locker room, and he's like, I think if I jump over you like this, and then I go this way, and like I have no idea why we thought that this was going to be like a good idea. He's like 3 times my size. But anyway, we went out there, and the end of the match came, and I got on my knees, and he leaps over me and hooks me, and like he went one way, and I went the other way, but my shoulders ended up being down, and he pinned me. And that was the finish to our match, an Oklahoma roll. So there you go.
Yeah. So after the match, Mojo Rawley started yelling at R-Truth, like it was R-Truth's fault, and R-Truth gave him a axe kick and walked away. So that was that. Then Drew McIntyre came out, and he just wants to point to the sign. Now, I got to say this about Drew McIntyre. He's getting Okay, so he's trying to be top baby. You know, the idea now is to make him top baby face on the brand because he's going to be facing Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. So that does make sense to make him top baby face. But he's now this like cliche of every smiling baby face. You know, I love you fans and all this. And to me, it was just like, it's like, I think the kind of if he gradually, like on a week by week basis, grew into this, it'd be one thing. But it's just like, you know, everyone thinks like pointing to the WrestleMania sign is like this cool thing, and it's I don't know. Like when I watch the pointing the sign on TV, it's like one of these WWE things that's like really uncool.
It feels like a fake WWE cliche, and I mean maybe he can get it over. I mean, this was not a big crowd. It looked like 3,500 people there, but I mean, to his credit, like he goes to point to the sign, and
you can't say that because
I was in the building.
No, but I mean, the WWE fans are going to be furious that you said that the crowd was.
Well, like if you want photographs, I mean, I could probably provide them, but
no, there's no empty seats at WWE shows, only WWE shows.
Holy smokes!
Yeah.
So anyway, he says, I mean, it was Everett, so it's not like. But anyway, he goes, Charlotte's already pointed to the sign. So why don't we all point to the sign together?
Yeah, that wasn't so cool.
And, I mean, to his credit, they all pointed to the sign with him. So at least he didn't try to point to the sign and nobody pointed. But it is very cliched, and we'll see what happens.
It felt like not cool. Okay. He does the whole promo as if he's going to be facing Brock Lesnar. So it's just like, it is acknowledged that Ricochet is facing Brock Lesnar, but literally nobody is giving Ricochet a chance, and nor should they.
That's the storyline.
Yeah, but nor should they. Then Paul Heyman comes out, and he teases that Brock Lesnar is there, but in fact, there is no Brock Lesnar. And Paul brought up the match with Ricochet, and then MVP came out and said that you hit me with a cheap shot last week, but I'm going to face you, and I'm not going to need a cheap shot to beat you. So this is another insurance. So this also tells you how MVP just did Booker T's podcast, and he mentioned that he's now a producer with WWE, and he also mentioned that he's now retired. And
he did a giant post on Instagram after his WWE match like 3 weeks ago
with Ray,
and it was all about how he was done. That was it. He was done.
This was his last match.
Now here he is. He's wrestling again.
Now here he is. He's wrestling again. So maybe he'll be in Saudi Arabia because he may.
Maybe he can wrestle Matt Hardy next week.
Not Matt Hardy, Randy Orton.
Speaking sarcastic.
So he said that he said that Drew hit him with a cheap shot, and he's going to beat him head to head. And then he hits him over the head with a cheap shot with a microphone, and gives him a running kick, but. Obviously, Drew's not going to be selling long for MVP, and he ripped off his tape on his nose, which is, in fact, the idea of that's the end of his wrestling career because the tape on his nose is his gimmick. And then he gave him a few shock DDT and a Claymore kick, and it was over. So just a quick match, and there you go. Becky Lynch promo. She came to this country to seek out her
Hello, Washington, she says.
She did say that. That's true. Hello, Washington. Hello, wrestling fans. Bill Kirsten. I came to this country to make my fame and fortune, and what I found out is that I don't really care much about the fortune. So she took out a whole bunch of money. She threw a bunch of bills on the ground and said that it was her. She's paying her fine up front.
Okay, so stop right there.
Yes.
So I realized they kind of sort of had some sort of weird fine thing for Baron Corbin on SmackDown, but this was so weird. It's like, when's the last time somebody on Raw was fined?
I don't know.
Like, they didn't even announce that Shayna had been... If they'd said, like, Shayna was been fined $50,000 for biting another human being,
they did not say Shayna was fined. They did not say she could not be at the building, although she wasn't at the building.
Yeah, at least say that Shayna got fined for biting if Becky's going to come out and do a promo about how she's going to pay a fine in advance. Otherwise, it's like, a fine for what? This woman bit you, and there was, like, zero consequences.
Well, we all know that, like, if she blades, maybe she's going to...
No, wait, dude. I know you and I know that, but I mean, come on. No one in the audience.
That's a real fine.
I realize that, but nobody knows that.
That's true. So, she's threatening violence It's a down payment on violence. Bad things are going to happen when I find Shayna Baszler. She should be looking for her if she wants to do that. Only animals go for the neck, basically to weaken them. But she's fine. And she's beaten Natalya, Asuka, Charlotte, Sasha, Ronda. Beat them all. And I had to beat them. I beat them because I had to. I'm coming after you because I want you. Then Shayna Baszler's on the screen. And she said that she didn't plan to bite her in the back. She just did it. So this was a non-premeditated.
I realize that the idea is like to make Becky like the Steve Austin or whatever, but I mean, like she's got to sell if we're supposed to care about this bite. I mean, there was this big, dramatic-looking bite spot.
She didn't even have like a bandage on the back of her head.
No, she drove the ambulance. She came back in the ambulance. She cut a promo last week, and now she's like 100% and insisting she's fine. And it's not even like, the babyface that insists he's fine, but like he can't walk or something crazy like that.
She wasn't like wobbling.
Nah, she was totally fine. She told us she was fine. She looked fine. So it's sort of like, well, why should I care about this bite then? Doesn't seem like it was a big deal.
Yeah. Well,
and it seems like it should be a big deal. She got bit.
Yeah. Well, guy got his arm broken on TV, and he came back and was using the arm a minute later.
Well, Dave, to be fair, it was not confirmed he got his arm broken.
But he still got a pill knife. He should have been hurt.
The announcer said it was broken, but I mean,
okay, but
even
if
like a doctor had an X-ray.
Even if it wasn't,
I know she got bit. She was bleeding everywhere.
Yeah, I know. She should have at least had like this big bandage, but who knows? Maybe it's one of those things. Maybe somebody says, oh, "We got pretty girls. We can't let them look like they're not pretty." So who knows? They do that mentality does come out many times, and as far as like,
I'm pretty sure Becky could still look pretty with something on her neck.
You're probably right, but I'm just saying that is the mentality, and and again, Vince also has the mentality that people don't remember. So
they don't remember the bite that they showed on the big screen at the beginning of the promo.
How much you want to bet that he'd had to be reminded about that?
Dude, if he had to be reminded about the bite, then I don't know what to tell you.
By the way, on they did this really horrible documentary on like the ruthless aggression.
Oh, I'm well aware.
So one of the things in this really horrible documentary that was one of the things actually is that, did you know that the change from WWE?
Oh, I heard all about it yesterday.
Okay, yeah,
we just needed a rebranding.
Yeah, it was Vince's idea. It had nothing to do with like anything like that. So anyway, on this story of Steve Austin walking out because Vince was going to have him lose to Brock Lesnar in a television match, and Austin was pissed, and rightfully so, because it's like Austin saw Lesnar as a guy he could work a real big pay-per-view match with.
This was in an opening round.
Was it in a tournament?
I think it was like, I think they wanted him to lose in like the opening round of the tournament.
I don't even remember.
It was something completely ridiculous. Like it wasn't even the finals.
Okay, no. Okay, so I don't remember if it was a tournament. But so here's what the story was, that Steve Austin had done an interview where he had ripped on creative, and so as revenge, because Vince is the head of creative, Vince booked him to lose to Brock Lesnar, and Austin was like, I'm the top babyface. This makes no sense for business, that Brock Lesnar should be running through everyone and then get to me on pay-per-view, not on television, because back in those days, you actually made your money on pay-per-view, not on television. And Vince's explanation 18 years later, is that if he'd beaten him on TV, by the time we got to the pay-per-view, nobody would remember a match anyway. So that was his explanation as to why. Now, that it still doesn't explain why you would have Brock Lesnar beat Steve Austin on television before the pay-per-view match ever takes place, months before the pay-per-view match ever takes place, or should have taken place, before they should have ever been met in the first place. But anyway, so who knows? Not a good memory thing. He wouldn't have,
So I guess it was the night before Raw. They just called him and they wanted him to show up on Raw and lose to Brock.
Yes.
So they didn't announce it a week in advance. It was just
no. It wasn't even hyped. It wasn't even hyped.
It was this,
because it was a punishment thing. It was not like a storyline. It wasn't like something had built up like they did a story something the week before. It was, he had said that creative sucks, and they're like, nobody says that publicly, not even Steve Austin, and that's how they punished guys then. So it was just like, you're going to go, and then Austin was like, this is bullshit, this isn't business, and then he was pissed, and he walked off, rather than, Jim Ross. I was actually reading Jim Ross's book just the other day, yesterday, and I was actually reading the part about that, because Jim Ross was kind of caught in the middle, and Jim Ross is telling Austin to come to the building and talk it out with Vince. And his thing is that no, because he's not doing it, not anymore. He's not doing it. He's going home. And so that led to like their big, Austin leaving and everything. So, and Austin has in fact later said that was a dumb thing for him to do, to just go home, that he probably should have talked to Vince, but he was pissed there. I remember that whole thing, and it was just like, come on. This makes, and what's funny is so many people are like, well, he was told to do a job, he just should have done the job, and it's like, this makes no sense, and it was punishment, and it's just like, fuck that, like, but, I never believed in booking using, like, what's it called, like, sacrificing what should have been like a huge pay-per-view match, sacrificing that, just so you could punish somebody. If you want to punish him, fine him. Don't beat your top babyface and punish, because you're punishing yourself and other, basically. And in fact, that's what Vince did, is he punished himself, because Austin was still his top babyface, and Austin left, and that didn't help business any, Austin leaving. So he did end up punishing himself, which, anyway.
I'm almost positive it was a King of the Ring tournament match, just a random tournament match.
Okay.
Anyway.
So, Bobby Lashley and Lana and Angel Garza and Zelina Vega are all there, and Lana's talking about like it's two couples, and we're on this tag team match is like a double date, which is probably the first I've ever heard of a tag team match being referred to a double date. But Zelina Vega said that they are in fact not a couple. Our relationship is business, and Angel Garza goes, I'm here for your business acumen, even though you're really good looking, but no woman can tie down this ladies' man. I'm thinking, like, you just got engaged on television, and now you're talking about how no woman can handle you. So anyway.
Maybe the engagement went terribly awry.
Maybe.
All I know is this guy is great.
Oh, he's got so much charisma.
Angel Garza is so great. Like, he did that spot out there where he gets thrown out of the ring and he starts posing, and this woman in the front row jumps up, so he runs up to her and she just kisses him, and then he walks away smiling and immediately gets hit by an Humberto Garza. It was so good, that spot.
That seemed pretty planted to me.
Yeah, but it was perfect.
The tope and everything was really good. He was really good in this match. He's great. He's a star. He's a superstar. And he pinned Rusev. Schoolboy holding the tights.
Sure did.
When what happened? Rusev kicked Lashley, and Garza schoolboyed him. It was a good match.
The only thing I didn't like about it was, like, 2 minutes before the finish, they did some spot and Angel Garza rolled up Rusev. Yeah. And Rusev kicked out. And then 2 minutes later, they did the exact same spot, and it was the finish. So I don't know why they did the earlier one.
When he did that other schoolboy, the early schoolboy, I couldn't understand why they did it anyway, because it was just kind of weird. They went to the commercial break, like, right when they did that tope, where after he kissed the girl, they went to the commercial break immediately, like, almost like that, like, they didn't get to the tope fast enough type of a break.
Really?
Yeah, they rushed out of there.
This match was a lot of fun when Angel was in there with Humberto and
Rusev did a really good hot tag. He was just throwing
very fiery comeback. Yeah,
he's not used to wrestling with guys the size of Garza, so he was just like having so much fun, just throwing this guy all over the place. Yeah, it was really good. Natalya and Kairi Sane. And Asuka came out and did a promo talking about giving Natty a black eye. And they had a match.
The crowd was dead.
Asuka kicked Natty in the head, and she just laid there. And it's like, the ref's counting the 10 count really slow. And in WWE, when they do a count out, they don't do it like that. But so you just figure like because he's counting so slow for her to get, it's like you think she's going to get up. And she never gets up. And she's counted out. Such a flat finish. So flat. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. There's nothing much to say. The match was too short, and the thing was flat. Seth Rollins sermon. Who was it? Was it? You didn't hear this. It was. Oh God, Byron Saxton called him the Monday Night Asaya.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Monday Night Asaya. So anyway,
I don't know what that means.
He just messed up the word. That's what it means. Anyway, it was horrible. And finally, the Viking Raiders saved the day by ending this segment. There's a big brawl.
It's so funny because you've got Murphy, you've got the Authors of Pain, you've got Seth Rollins. So they're doing this deal, and 2 Viking Raiders run in, and like all the heels go running. It's
well,
like, there's 4 of you and 2 of them.
Well, it was the idea was that that the storyline there, and it was here, and it happened again at the end of the show, is that all these guys are loyal to Seth, and he has zero loyalty to them because as soon as the fight came, Seth runs off, and then the rest of the 3 have to get into a fight with the Viking Raiders, but Seth wants no part of the fight. But in this case, it backfired on him because while he was running away, Kevin Owens came out the ramp and gave Seth a stunner. So there he went. Then AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson came out, and they were all dressed to wrestle. And Carl Anderson called AJ Styles the new Mr. WrestleMania, and started talking about different legends. He mentioned Undertaker, who AJ's wrestling at WrestleMania. Also mentioned who else did he mention? Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, probably Hulk Hogan. He mentioned a bunch of guys that maybe he's going to wrestle. And then AJ talked about winning the gauntlet match in Saudi Arabia, and then he's going to go for Brock Lesnar in the championship. And then he's asked who's next. So that makes you think he's maybe facing Goldberg. So finally, Ricochet comes out, and AJ Styles calls him Little Ricky. And for like the most unreal coincidence, I was thinking, yesterday I was at my mom's house, and we were watching the NBA All-Star game. But before the NBA All-Star game, we watched, not her house, she lives in an assisted living place, but we were watching I Love Lucy, a show I have probably not seen in 35 years. And there was Little Ricky in I Love Lucy that I was watching, and
God,
AJ Styles
maybe AJ was watching it too.
Maybe AJ was watching the same frickin' show.
Well, when he was listing off names, he pronounced Ricochet's name like Rick O'Shea, like he was Irish. Then he calls him Little Ricky. So maybe that's the joke. One way or the other, they bury this guy. They laugh at him. The idea that he's going to beat Brock Lesnar.
Oh, the idea you're going to be world champion. They're like laughing. It's like if he's going to win the championship, this would be like awesome. Except he's not going to win. So this is like stupid. It's like whoever heard of like. Now I grant you, what was it? Heyman did write. Remember when Seth Rollins beat Lesnar for the championship? The whole storyline leading up was that Seth Rollins had no chance to win. And they just like hammered that he's got no chance to win because the idea was, it was because the whole thing is like, why is Seth so every single angle Brock's just killing him, and he's killing him, and Seth, he's not getting any offense in, and Brock is killing him in like 10 seconds every time. It's like, this is how you build up a main event, by telling the people that the babyface has no prayer to win?
Well, it was even worse because this was the second time. So Seth had beaten him for the title in 4 minutes a few months earlier. And like 4 months later, they're telling us a story that like it's impossible for Seth to beat Brock. And I remember watching it just going, I just saw him do it in 4 minutes. Yeah, he used a low blow, but he beat him. He beat him.
Yeah. So anyway, they're doing the story again that Ricochet has no chance, and they're laughing at the idea. So Ricochet mentioned that he, in fact, had earned his championship shot, which in fact he did because he won a match for a title shot. And he said he would beat Lesnar, and AJ started laughing at him. Ricochet challenged AJ right now. So we get all excited. Maybe we're going to get this really good match. And then Carl Anderson goes, let me take the match. So Ricochet beat Carl Anderson with essentially like a go to sleep. I didn't, one of the things on this is like, it's a Ricochet used a move that you wouldn't think he could use on Lesnar because Lesnar's such a big guy. And I think like Ricochet should beat Carl Anderson like with a 630 or something where the announcers could go, if he hits this on Lesnar, he's got a chance, because you couldn't even say.
Well, I disagree. I'm going to tell you why. Because there's another week, and so I would not be the least bit surprised if he faces Gallows, the big guy, on Raw next week, and then he can beat him with his 630 or whatever. But I really liked that he hit him with a move that I was not expecting to be the finish, and it was. Because you got to do that every now and then, especially with Brock Lesnar, because he may hit these moves on Brock.
But the problem is he can't. If it's not a move he's going to use in the match with Brock. Now, if he's going to use that GTS on Brock, then that makes sense. But if he's not going to use it on Brock, then it makes no sense to do it, because what are you building it for?
I just saw it more as he hit it. He pinned the guy with a move he doesn't usually beat people with, which I'm always fine with that.
That's fine, but you're building a specific pay-per-view match, and it's got to be a move that you can use.
Well, he can use some sort of big move on Gallows next week. Beat the big guy.
Okay, but why would you not use a move that you could use on Ricochet like 10 days out from a move you can use on Lesnar 10 days out before the Lesnar match? It doesn't serve a purpose.
Well, if they're saving the 630 for Gallows, what other move are they going to use? The Shooting Star? I guess you could do that.
Yeah, any move that he could use on. I mean, the whole point is like, I wasn't buying that he could use this. So unless he's going to do this move on Lesnar, and he may and he can, because I saw him do the move on Keith Lee, who's heavier than Lesnar. So I know he can do it.
Well, then maybe we shouldn't worry about it then. Maybe he will use it.
Yeah, but WWE's got a different mentality. How many times have I been told, WWE wrestlers been told, you can't do a power move on a guy bigger than you. It doesn't make sense. So, who knows?
Well, Paul is the writer, and Paul
it's still
is
Vince.
In with Brock.
It's still Vince.
And so...
Anyway, Liv Morgan did a promo. She's not a puppy on a leash. And she's going to eliminate Ruby Riott from the chamber. Okay, so there's a chamber match, and this is actually legit because they actually
showed the graphic.
Right, and they broke it. So it's going to be Shayna Baszler, Asuka, Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan, Natalya, and am I missing somebody? What other woman do they have in this promotion now? Not Kairi Sane. She's not in it. Or is she?
Oh, let's see what we got. All right, the women in the match: Natalya, Liv Morgan, Shayna Baszler, Asuka, Ruby Riott, Sarah Logan.
Ruby Riott was the one I forgot.
Ruby Riott. Well, it has to be. How'd you forget that one? That's her whole promo.
Her promo was that she's going to eliminate Ruby Riott, yeah. So anyway, they're going to be in the chamber. The winner of the chamber match, this is on March 13th, will face Becky Lynch for the championship. But everyone knows that it's Shayna. So it's like, and Becky's whole promo was Shayna. So it's kind of like, I don't know. That's one of the problems with like, we have a pay-per-view called Elimination Chamber, and so we have to have this. It's like, maybe it would have been better, like on, to do this Elimination Chamber match before the Angle with Shayna, or, because now it's kind of like, now we got to do this match, and, it's like it makes no sense for anyone else to win. We got two chamber matches, and, there's no one in the chamber can win other than the person, I guess, like on the men's chamber, I guess you could like pretend to tell people that Daniel Bryan could win, but essentially I think everyone knows Roman's probably winning that one too. So yeah, she's going to eliminate Ruby Riott in the chamber match. and she's going to get a championship match at WrestleMania. Sure she is. I bought that. And then we had Kevin Owens and the Viking Raiders against AOP and Murphy without a first name.
Crowd liked this match. They were hot.
It was a good match. It was a real good match. I mean, Viking Raiders are I don't think people remember, because they've kind of been put in this. It's weird because they always work hard. They're always good. But I don't know what it is about WWE tag teams. It's like they don't get over because they've been taught for so long. I don't know what it is, but it's like these guys are really good, and they always are. But they were, I don't know. Every week they're good, and they were here. And then Buddy Murphy's a great wrestler, and AOP's fine, and Kevin's good, and Kevin Owens hit the stunner on Murphy, and Seth Rollins ran in for the DQ. They took out the Viking Raiders, and they're all surrounding Kevin Owens, and Seth is going to crucify Kevin Owens until the Street Profits come out, and they make the save, and they're beating up with them, and the Viking Raiders are beating up the AOP and Buddy Murphy, and Seth Rollins has, in fact, again, run away, and it ends up with Kevin Owens does a stunner on Razor, and Ivar does a splash off the top on Akam, and Montez Ford does a splash off the top on Buddy Murphy, and that's the end of the show.
Yeah, show ends with all these baby faces celebrating. I thought, where were you guys when Matt Hardy's getting killed, this poor guy?
They had no issue with Randy Orton.
Man.
So the Street Profits are going to be facing Buddy Murphy. Oh, God, I keep calling him Buddy Murphy. And Seth Rollins for the tag team title in Saudi Arabia a week from Thursday. So that was announced. Great.
All right, we got to talk about this Raw show here tonight. I thought this was a pretty good show.
So did I. I thought it was. I don't think it didn't have any super segments like Randy Orton and Edge, or even Randy Orton and Matt Hardy. And it didn't have any super matches. But 3 hours, I thought pretty much everything was real good. I thought that it flowed better than, it didn't drag like 3 hour shows usually do. And, you can see, when I watch the show, I can see the booking direction of pretty much everything that they're doing. I can kind of see where everything is going. So I think that's a good thing. It didn't feel, I wasn't fond of the heel ref thing at the end. But aside from that, everything's either building to Thursday, or if it's not building to Thursday, it's starting to slow build to WrestleMania. So one thing that was interesting, we should point out, is that they brought out the 6 women for the contract signing for the Elimination Chamber. But on Friday's SmackDown, Lacey Evans talked about being in an Elimination Chamber match. So if that's the case, there's going to be 3 Elimination Chamber matches.
That is a bad idea.
3, yeah.
Total overkill.
I think the same thing, because those Elimination Chamber matches, just by the rules, they have to be, 25, 30 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you want 3 30-minute matches on the same show, even though they'll probably only do a couple undercard matches. 2 is pushing it, but you kind of, in this era of equality, you have to have 2, and I get that. But 3 to me is 1 too many. But if in fact, it's obviously that was an idea, because she said she's in the Elimination Chamber and she is not in this Elimination Chamber. So that would tell you that they're going to do an Elimination Chamber match for Bayley's opponent at WrestleMania.
So the show opened up with Randy Orton coming out for a promo. He got booed like crazy. He says, "I've got to apologize."
They had a great crowd, by the way. This was also, that helped a lot too, is that, the big secret, like with Winnipeg and Vancouver, is stay out of Canadian markets for television for 15 years, and when you finally come back, you're going to have a great crowd.
Says 15 years ago, that's the last time we were in Winnipeg. I was 24 years old. I did some research. And on that Raw, I was the Intercontinental Champion. I was punched in the face by a certain man. Everybody starts chanting for Y2J. He just talked right over him. Said, "The man I'm talking about is named Adam, but you call him Edge. People start chanting, we want Edge. Randy says he can't be here tonight because of what I did to him almost a month ago. And in fact, none of you could ever understand why I did what I did. I am very sorry for it. Truly sorry. So Kevin Owens comes out, says, I've been dealing with a lot, and I need to know why you did what you did to Edge. I don't believe you when you say you didn't mean it. And he says, I was looking forward to Edge's return. He was so happy to be back. I was looking forward to matches with him. Then you killed him. I need to know why. Randy says, you don't want to know. Kevin says, I do want to know. And Randy basically says, you think you know me? Stealing Edge's line, his music. Kevin says, I don't know you. I think these people are sick of hearing us talk. Let's fight. And Randy says, let's do it. But not right now. And he bails. So, simple storyline, simple angle, setting up the main event. Apparently someday Randy Orton's going to tell us why he did what he did to Edge. But I guess we have to wait.
Probably 2 more weeks.
So I must have missed this somewhere. But did they actually announce the return date of Edge?
Not on TV, but it's going to be in 2 weeks.
Why does it have to be a big surprise?
Well, it's not. It's going to be in 2 weeks. Beth Phoenix is going to be on next week, and then Edge will be on the week after.
So Charlie's backstage with Angel and Zelina Vega, and Zelina says, our only business with Humberto tonight is taking out the trash. She says, Angel here is a man's man. He needs to put his awkward cousin where he belongs. And so basically they're teasing. The storyline is Angel Garza and Zelina Vega are strictly business, but they're strongly teasing that they're having an affair. They were teasing that he's hitting on Charlie Caruso. Well, he's hitting on everybody, but I mean, she called him the Lothario of Raw. I think it's abundantly clear that he's going to be feuding with Andrade. And I guess the question is, who's going to be the babyface? Are they going to split up Andrade and Zelina? Is Zelina going to go with Angel? Is she going to stay with Andrade? I mean, they better do something out of this. Well, it's a story every single week.
I would think that they will be a tag team, and you know, at least at first, and then probably I think it's inevitable that they should split. At that point, as far as who should be the babyface, it's probably Andrade, but I don't think that I wouldn't rush the split at all. I actually think, you know, you got to see them first, and they're going to have their first tag match is going to be next week on Raw anyway against Rey and Humberto. But when I think about the wrestling ability of Andrade and the charisma of Garza, I see honestly, I would figure out, I know that Rollins and Buddy Murphy are the tag team champions. I keep forgetting his name is not Buddy. But anyway, they're the tag team champions, and the idea is to, you know, use that to get Murphy up to the next level.
I like how you're chastising yourself for using the dude's first name.
Well,
I think it's safe to call him Buddy Murphy. I don't think we're going to get in trouble. That is his name.
We're not going to get in any trouble. Well, anyway, that's not his real name. But I would have them lose the tag team titles and get them to Andrade and Garza and have them be tag team champions for a while, because I think they could be an absolutely awesome, those two managed by Zelina Vega as tag team champions, because you could have, you know, Rey and Humberto, you could have Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe, you could have the Street Profits, the Viking Raiders. You got an endless supply of you know, different teams that you can put against these guys. And I just think that that would be just an awesome wrestling and charismatic team. Andrade's got charisma too, but Garza's got Garza's just a superstar. You know, and I think that they know it. I know some people there know it for sure. And yeah, that's kind of a move I would make. I'm sure it's not the planned move, because this all came together by accident. You know, the only reason Garza's even on the main roster is because Andrade failed the drug test, and they needed someone for Zelina Vega, or they have to take Zelina Vega off TV, and they just decided, well, let's give her somebody else. And then the guy shows up, and, you know, he's just got it.
So anyways, they're leaving. Garza says, Charlie, there's business and there's pleasure, and doing business with you is always a pleasure. And he kisses her hand, and she has to act all giddy like she's never got attention from a man before.
I bet she has.
So then we had Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo. This match, I loved this match.
Oh, yeah, it was really good.
Totally different from what you normally see on Raw. They're doing all this old school lucha, all this high flying. Comeback commercial, Angel tears the pants off, throws him in his...
The only negative is I think that the match was, what is it? 13? No, it was 15 minutes. But of the first, where's my notes? I think that in the first 12 minutes they had 8 minutes of commercials, which was kind of annoying. Even though like they did do picture-in-picture on the first break, it was like that. The first break, I mean, it was kind of like, okay, that's what you do. You have the break. But then they like came back for like just a couple minutes and they went and had another break. And it's like, you don't got to go to a break in a match this good, this quick. But they did.
They had 2 commercial breaks. The match was great. The fans were super into it. Garza did the old school Hector Garza moonsault off the middle rope to the floor. Spanish fly in the ring by Humberto. Spanish fly off the middle rope by Garza. Tons of cradles. Crowd got more in each cradle. And then suddenly Garza sits back, pins him. Thought this match was great. These guys are awesome.
It was a block sunset flip, and he used the trunks to win.
I hope they feud
Well,
forever.
these guys should have a great match. They're cousins. They started together,
Yeah, but we're in WWE. So, no, I did not expect them to be able to go out there and do their match, but they did.
Well, Vince wasn't there tonight.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. We had a Ricochet versus Luke Gallows. This was a WWE match. Ricochet dive. Luke Gallows got the heat. Ricochet makes a comeback. Couple of near falls. And then Ricochet hits a super kick, recoil, shooting star press, gets the pin. Fans pop for the finish. He is winning en route to the Brock Lesnar match, so they're doing all the right stuff.
You know the thing
and
that's
it
weird?
was fine.
Yeah, it's fine. But you know what? I thought that the angle from last week pretty much demanded a Ricochet win over AJ before the Brock Lesnar match. Because after the Brock Lesnar match, I'm figuring, Brock's beating him. So there's no point in AJ beating, or especially now because, AJ is going to be wrestling Aleister Black next week anyway. And, I just thought that it would be, and a win over AJ would mean so much more than a win over Luke Gallows. But I guess maybe whatever that was the way the angle was setting up, and it wasn't that. But I'm sure there's a reason. And again, AJ is wrestling Undertaker at WrestleMania, so maybe AJ is not allowed to lose too much, if at all, right now. That actually going to be real interesting how they get out of that AJ match with Aleister Black, because Aleister Black, they always have Aleister Black win, and AJ's being set up for Undertaker, so I'm sure that they don't want to beat AJ. I mean, that's why, AJ beat Montez Ford tonight, is because...
Well, that's what shitty DQs are for.
Yeah, but I don't think that shitty DQs don't make anyone happy.
We had AJ yelling at Gallows and Anderson in the back, and he says, "You're the best tag team in the world. You need to act like it. A miracle could happen," he says, at Super Showdown. Ricochet could beat Lesnar and become champion. I'll be right there to take the title off of him. Aleister Black walks up. AJ calls him out. They blindside him. They beat his ass, and he stumbles around.
This is a good beating, and I thought Aleister Black did a really good job of making it believable, and I thought that it really made that match with Eric Rowan work, because there was a story to the match. It wasn't like the first one. So.
You're right, but the problem was he was too believable, because this fucking guy, we'll get into it, but he stumbles into the match like he has no equilibrium. He can barely stand. And the ref's like, "Ring the bell, let's get going here." Like, you trying to kill this guy? Anyway, we'll get to that. Lesnar and Heyman come out, and God bless Paul Heyman. He tries to convince us that this is the highest stakes match in the history of Brock Lesnar's career. The stakes, he says, have never been higher.
Well, it's because
I'm like, convince me of this, Paul. His argument is, well, he would not be in the main event of WrestleMania.
If he loses, he's not in the main event of WrestleMania, yeah.
I'm pretty sure there have been higher stakes in the career of Brock Lesnar. But anyway, he says, everything would change at WrestleMania. And then he says this line, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle, but she isn't. And Jerry Lawler on commentary, like a lot of times people say goofy things on TV and the commentators have to do that fake laugh. Paul Heyman says this line, and Lawler just cracked. He starts laughing his ass off.
He's laughing, and Brock Lesnar's laughing, too.
It was so good because it was real.
Yeah, but it was so weird. It's like, that line, it's not like that line hasn't been said 500 times. It's a saying. I mean, like, did Lawler never hear it before?
Well, I don't know. Lawler's got 8 million one-liners, but Paul pulled that one out of his ass, and it broke Lawler. It was so good. Somebody actually laughing at comedy on WWE TV, and it wasn't fake. It was so good. And then he says, I've only been wrong about one prediction in 7 or 8 years.
Isn't it been 2?
I think it's 2. I think he was wrong about
2.
that.
Yeah.
But he says this one is also a spoiler. Brock's going to remain champion. Rowan versus Aleister Black. So as noted, Aleister stumbles down to the ring. He can barely stand. And the ref says, ring the bell. This poor guy just gets destroyed by this giant Rowan. And then he gets speared or something, and he ends up sitting in a chair. And then the ref goes, can you continue? Like, where were you at the beginning of this match? Now the guy's just sitting in a chair. So they go to commercial, they come back, they do all these near falls. And finally, Rowan goes for this tackle outside. He misses. He hits the steps, and the cage goes flying. So Rowan's all concerned about his animal.
Well, he wasn't that concerned because he went right back to wrestle.
Well, eventually he goes back.
I thought he was going to get counted out.
He almost did. Animal. He goes outside to get the cage.
Yeah,
the ref starts counting.
But then he runs back in the ring and forgets about the animal.
He dives in at 9 3/4. He gets hit with the kick once. He gets hit with the kick twice. He gets pinned. This was the second really good match between these two guys in a row. I thought last week was good. I thought this week was good. I like this feud. I think it's over now.
I think it's over now, yeah. I think, well, it is over because Black is going to be with AJ next week.
Yeah, I liked it. Thought this was really good. Aleister then cuts a promo. Next week, he and AJ are going to fight. We had a sit-down interview with Charlie and Drew. And she says, who would you rather face? He says, I don't care. Been fighting 19 years. I was promised a long time ago I was going to get this shot, and I never did. Debuted in 2009. Mr. McMahon said I was the chosen one, the future of this company. Says I'd be the world champion. You know how many times I've been world champion? Never.
So you know what that means?
NXT isn't a world title.
NXT title doesn't count.
So there's only one person to blame.
Nor does Evolve and all the other ones and the ICW. But of course they're not going to, but NXT also doesn't. Yeah.
He says, I lost my passion. I eventually got fired. I didn't think I'd ever come back. I was angry, bitter.
Okay.
Fueled by anger.
Okay, so I remember this. I remember this distinctly because he said that, like, because they asked, like, when you got fired, did you think you would ever come back? And he said no. And I remember when he got fired, I remember talking to him, and he was, because this is why I remember it, he was sure he was going to go back. I mean, he was like, absolutely, I won't say sure, but he absolutely was confident, because I remember at the time, again, we're going back, every era is different, but at that time, the mentality at WWE is if we fire you, we're never bringing you back, because, nobody, they went, they wouldn't do that. I remember we looked it up, and it was like out of like the last 20 guys at that point who'd been fired, like 19 of them weren't brought back. Maybe one of them was. So the odds were very strongly against him at the time, but he actually was very confident, and he should have been, because the reality is he had a lot of potential, and he's, then he ended up running around that year, the couple, that period when he was gone, it was over a year, but, he is, to me, Drew Galloway is the poster boy for, if you get fired by WWE, this is what you do if you have any ambition, and for whatever reason, nobody else does it. Everybody else just kind of sits there, and, you look at these guys, and they don't want to do any indies, and they only want to work for $4,000 a shot instead of like $1,000 a shot, you know, and they just kind of disappear into the abyss. And I mean, the way to get back there is to go out there and work all over the world and make yourself a name, and then they want you again. And that's what this guy did. You know, he was going back and forth from Florida to Europe every week, you know, like, the travel, you know, was really hard, but he was going in there and he was working with, you know, PWG and working with the best guys in the world and having great, great matches. And there was a great buzz about him. And for sure he was going to go back because, especially now, because the reality is that, you know, and I still have no idea why New Japan didn't take him. You know, big agile guy like that. And I know that like there was interest in New Japan in him, but he never really got that offer. And, you know, if he had, you know, and they would have signed him, you know, he may have ended up there, and he'd have done real well there too as well. But, you know, he's getting a main event WrestleMania, so it worked out for the best for him.
Says, I didn't want people to remember me as the guy who played air guitar. I was happy to go to NXT, wanted to go somewhere where I could be a leader. Loved going back to Raw. I came back on the 4-year anniversary the day I was released. I am living proof that if you bust your ass, you can achieve anything. It's not just a saying. And he's right.
Well, I don't know if anyone can, but if you're, you know, if you have aptitude for it and you bust your ass, because if you don't, I mean, right now, I mean, it's a different era. You know, like 20 years ago, if you had a good body, you didn't have to bust your ass to make it in wrestling, you know, because you would get handpicked because you had a good body. But today, there's no, you know what I mean? Even like a Braun Strowman, who's a giant and you know, is a physical freak and everything like that, he still has to bust his ass. I mean, you cannot half-ass it and make it in today's wrestling world, because the reality is there's too many people out there who are busting their ass, who are going to be, if you don't, there's going to be too many guys better than you, no matter how gifted you might be. And that's the reality of this business now, is like, you know, there's, you know, I mean, like, maybe like a Randy Orton, although I mean, obviously Randy Orton's doing phenomenal stuff right now, but Randy Orton was a guy who, you know, coasted on his natural ability for years and years and years. But he'd already made his name, and he was already an institution and already in their minds, you know, a A1 star, whether he was or not, in their eyes he was. So he could get away with it. But again, if you're coming along now, you know, there's nobody, I think, who's going to be able to make it to the top in this business now, if they come along right now, without being a good wrestler and without working your ass off.
True TV with Lana and Lashley. Lana says, we're not here for your talk show. We're supposed to have a match. True says, well, Bobby's big. I'd rather ask him questions. And he says, have you seen the Sonic the Hedgehog movie? Lana says, ring the bell. So it's Truth versus Lashley. Lashley kills him, spears him, pins him. Rusev Day chants. That was the end of that. We have Lawler to host the Women's Elimination Chamber contract signing. It's Liv, Natty, Sarah, Asuka, and Ruby. Asuka grabs the mic, cuts his promo, says there are 6 people in the chamber. There's only 5 of us in the ring. Shayna, get your ass out here. Asuka, by the way, one of the best promos on Raw, and I understand about 40% of what she says, but she's great.
I don't even understand that, but she's got incredible delivery, and you know, I mean, it also they have her do promos every week, which, you know, a year ago they wouldn't let her do a promo, you know, for any length of time because of the whole thing that she's not talking the language. But as a heel, it works out just fine.
So Lawler says, yes, everyone's supposed to be here. Shayna's either running late or she's a no-show. I'm like, what's contract signing? Like, if she's not here, does she not end up in the Elimination Chamber?
Yeah, I think that's what the deal is. If you miss your contract signing, you're not in.
That's what I think. So Sarah signs, Natty signs, Liv signs, and then she walks over and hands the contract to Ruby. Ruby signs. Asuka's about to sign. Shayna comes through the crowd. So she signs. She gets in Natty's face. They got to stare down. Lawler says, ladies, you're on your own. He gets out of there.
Then there's just a big brawl.
Asuka starts screaming again. She shoves Natty. She tells Shayna, bite me. Natty jumps Asuka. Anyway, huge brawl
Liv
breaks
Morgan
out.
dives over a table onto Ruby Riott.
The best part of this brawl is they start fighting, and like a dozen geeks hit the ring. But of these dozen geeks, 2 of them try to break up the fight, and 10 of them just start calmly taking furniture out of the ring. I was just dying. These guys are brawling, and this guy's just lifting up this table and putting it over to the outside. So then Becky hits the ring, and there's only her and Shayna. She goes after Shayna, and now security runs down, and they break up this fight. And the fans chant, let them fight. Becky breaks free once.
There's a lot of heat with Becky and Shayna.
Crowd goes nuts. Yeah, this was good.
You could really see that. Some of it's Winnipeg, for sure, but it felt like the angles were starting to take hold, and maybe some of it is the crowd, but it did feel like, watching some of these newer acts that it felt fresh. The show felt fresh because it's newer acts that were over and new feuds.
We had Murphy Angelo Dawkins as what was scheduled, and the Street Profits do a promo. They try to get the fans to chant Murph the Smurf. That sucked.
I hope they don't do that. That sucks.
So this goes like a minute. Seth hits the ring, and it's a DQ. This was the one thing on the show that completely sucked. Seth is getting this turn the channel heat with me right now. Montez challenges him. Keep in mind that 20 minutes earlier, they had a graphic on the screen announcing the match.
20 minutes earlier, they announced at the onset of this, when the show started, they announced this match.
So,
yeah. And now they're challenging for the match, and then the announcers are playing it like, oh my God, this match is going to take place. And it's like, you told us about it when the show started.
So Seth faces Montez Ford. They actually had a really fun match. And
it was good. Seth really, you can see, Montez Ford is a super athlete. He can jump, he can run, and all that. But he's still like green in a lot of ways. But Seth is a guy who can carry guys like that, and they had a good match.
Fought up top. Montez hit a sunset flip powerbomb. He goes up top. He tries to frog splash. Misses. Seth hits the curb stomp, gets the pin. Now, my big question here is, like, the Street Profits are weak challengers.
Yes.
How in God's name did they not at least have Angelo Dawkins beat Murphy? Like, I understand not wanting Montez Ford to beat Seth.
I can tell you why, and the reason why is because they don't want to beat Murphy, because Murphy's the one that's the project. But yeah, they're weak challengers, and quite frankly, instead of doing the 2 singles matches, they should have done a 6-man tag and had the Street Profits beat, whatever, like, one of the AOP guys, or maybe an 8-man tag and have them, but beat somebody. It should have been, Street Profits should have just beaten somebody rather than this, because I get why AJ didn't lose. I already explained that, but one of those guys, should have gotten pinned for sure. Yeah.
So then we had Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, and the match was fun. The finish fucking sucked.
Absolutely.
So they do this match, and AOP, Seth, and Murphy lurch out on the ramp, and so Kevin Owens' character is supposed to be, he's the guy who is not the dumb babyface.
But he couldn't overcome a crooked referee.
No. Before even that, 3 times in this match, Seth distracted him to allow Orton to wipe him out. 3 times he got distracted and attacked by Randy Orton. Not once, not twice, 3 times. So finally, after the 3rd time, Randy hits him with a draping DDT, and the ref does a fast count. Now, like we needed a Montreal screw job in Winnipeg in the year 2020. Okay, we didn't. But problem number 1 is the referee does the fast count, and Randy Orton looks at the guy, and he's flabbergasted. Even Randy Orton doesn't know why the guy counted fast. That's number 1.
Yeah, because it's a Seth Rollins disciple. It's not a Randy Orton disciple.
Number 2, when he hit the draping DDT and covered the guy, Kevin didn't kick out at 2 when the ref did the fast count. Kevin laid there dead. So I don't even know what the point was of fast counting the guy. It's not like he fast counted him and Kevin kicked out at 3.1 and he got screwed by the ref. He laid there like he was dead. And the ref goes, and it's over. and Kevin's still laying there. He hasn't kicked out yet. And so Randy's confused, and then the referee just looks at Randy, and the announcers can't figure out what's going on, even though it's patently obvious. So the ref goes outside. He's asking if Seth, are you okay, sir? Seth throws a chair into the ring to Randy. Kevin recovers, grabs one of the chairs, starts screaming at Orton. I don't know why he wasn't mad at the ref. The ref tears the chair out of his hands. Orton leaves. Kevin throws the ref into the ring, and because it's WWE, they have to presume that we're total morons. And so they have to rip off the ref's shirt to show a Seth Rollins shirt on. Then the announcers figure out what happened. Like it wasn't obvious. And Kevin hits the guy with the stunner. He puts him through a table, and the show goes off the air. I mean, the fans liked Kevin killing the referee and everything like that, but my God, this finish was lame.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm not a fan of heel ref finishes. I'm just not a fan of heel refs.
So the story is supposed to be that like this was a longtime WWE official who's now a fan of Seth, and he just screwed.
Isn't this was a new guy, wasn't it?
So then the story is that Seth just found a guy and put a ref shirt on, and like there was nobody in the company that asked who this guy was.
I think the story is that they hired a ref,
a brand new ref
who secretly was a Seth Rollins disciple.
Okay, this sucked.
I don't disagree. I don't like that stuff.
Now the rest of the show, pretty damn good show. The show's been so much better over the last probably 6-8 weeks. It was rough there for a while.
I would say since the first, since late December, probably is really when it started to turn around. Yeah,
there you go.
Which it all has to do with the pushing of the new guys, the Aleister Blacks and the Viking Raiders and the Ricochets and Drew and all of these guys. Andrade was getting a push. Now Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza. So yeah, next week's tag match with Rey and Humberto against Andrade and Garza is going to be great.
Oh yeah.